What if the biggest threat to World Cup 2026 isn't empty seats, travel problems, or even ticket prices? What if it's something far more dangerous? A loss of trust. One day before the largest World Cup in history, FIFA is facing a problem money can't solve. Across TikTok, X, Instagram, and YouTube, millions of fans are telling the same story. Football's biggest celebration is becoming football's biggest controversy. FIFA says demand is breaking records. Social media says supporters are being pushed out. FIFA sees a historic success. The internet sees a tournament losing its soul. And with kickoff now just days away, the battle for World Cup 2026 may no longer be happening inside the stadiums. It's happening on millions of screens around the world. And FIFA is losing control of the narrative. But this wasn't supposed to happen. For years, FIFA marketed World Cup 2026 as the tournament that would redefine football forever. 48 teams, 104 matches, 3 host nations, more cities, more fans, more revenue, and more global attention than any World Cup before it. America would provide the scale. Canada would provide growth. Mexico would provide atmosphere. Together, they would host the largest sporting event in modern history. The numbers seemed impossible to argue with. Record sponsorship deals, record broadcasting contracts, record commercial opportunities. FIFA executives repeatedly described the tournament as a landmark moment, not just for football, but for global sport itself. The vision was clear. Bigger meant better, more meant stronger. Expansion meant success. But there was one assumption hiding underneath all those projections, that football fans would embrace the vision as enthusiastically as FIFA did. And as the countdown approached single digits, that assumption began to crack. And then the conversation changed. Previous World Cups were largely defined by television coverage and newspaper headlines. World Cup 2026 is being shaped by algorithms. Every supporter now has a camera. Every fan has a platform. Every frustration can become content. What began as isolated complaints quickly transformed into something much larger. Ticket frustrations, accommodation costs, travel concerns, confusing booking experiences, long waits, unexpected fees. None of these issues alone could threaten a World Cup. Together, however, they created something FIFA struggled to control: a narrative. Thousands of fans from different countries started sharing similar experiences, different languages, different backgrounds, different political views. Yet many were arriving at remarkably similar conclusions. The tournament felt increasingly expensive, increasingly complicated, increasingly distant from ordinary supporters. Social media didn't invent those frustrations, it amplified them. And amplification is powerful. A complaint that once reached 10 friends can now reach 10 million people before breakfast. And this is where FIFA's biggest problem began. Football fans are used to discussing tactics, players, and rivalries before a major tournament. But in the months leading up to World Cup 2026, a different topic repeatedly dominated online discussions: money. Ticket prices became a recurring source of frustration. Travel costs continued rising. Accommodation expenses added another layer of concern. For many supporters, attending the tournament began to feel less like a football pilgrimage and more like a luxury. Purchase. Critics argued that football's biggest event was becoming increasingly inaccessible to the very communities that built the sport. FIFA responded by highlighting extraordinary demand. Millions of ticket applications appeared to support their position, but demand alone didn't stop the criticism. In fact, it sometimes intensified it. Many supporters felt the tournament was evolving into a product designed primarily for corporations, premium customers, and high-spending tourists. Whether that perception was completely fair became almost irrelevant. Because perception was becoming reality, the discussion was no longer about individual ticket prices. It was about what those prices represented. To many fans, they symbolized a growing distance between football's governing institutions and football supporters. But then the story became even more complicated. Not every viral claim surrounding World Cup 2026 was true. Some stories spread faster than evidence could catch up. Rumors about mass fan cancellations, predictions of empty stadiums, claims that matches could be relocated, allegations of widespread travel restrictions. Many generated enormous engagement before anyone verified them. This created a second challenge for FIFA. The organization wasn't only fighting criticism, it was fighting confusion. Every exaggerated claim allowed FIFA to dismiss broader criticism as misinformation. Every verified complaint strengthened public distrust. The result was a strange information war, where both sides found evidence supporting their position. Social media rewarded emotional content. Traditional institutions emphasized official data, and fans were left trying to determine which version of reality deserved their trust. In many ways, the battle over World Cup 2026 stopped being a football story. It became a credibility story, and that's what makes this so dangerous. Major tournaments don't survive on ticket sales alone. They survive on emotion, excitement, anticipation, belief, long before supporters arrive at a stadium. They decide how they feel about an event. If fans are optimistic, small problems are forgiven. If fans are cynical, small problems become proof of failure. That's why online sentiment matters. It shapes expectations. It influences narratives. It determines how millions of people interpret what they see. FIFA may still deliver record attendance, sponsors may still achieve record exposure, broadcasters may still generate record audiences. But if enough supporters begin viewing the tournament through a lens of distrust, every controversy becomes magnified. Every setback becomes symbolic. Every mistake becomes evidence. The risk isn't that people stop watching. The risk is that people stop believing. But what makes this crisis unique is that FIFA can't simply spend its way out of it. In previous eras, controlling the narrative was relatively straightforward. Organizations relied on press conferences, television interviews, carefully managed media partnerships, and official statements. If criticism emerged, it could often be contained. World Cup 2026 exists in a completely different environment. Every fan has access to the same platforms as major media organizations. A supporter filming a 30-second reaction video from their bedroom can sometimes generate more engagement than an official FIFA announcement. That's a reality. Sports governing bodies are still learning how to navigate. The challenge isn't necessarily that criticism exists. The challenge is that criticism now travels faster than reassurance. A negative experience is shared instantly. A clarification often arrives hours later. By then, the story has already spread. The result is a tournament entering kickoff with an unusually high level of public skepticism. Not because millions of people have stopped loving football, but because many have stopped automatically trusting the institutions that run it. And trust, once weakened, is incredibly difficult to rebuild. That's why FIFA's greatest challenge over the next 6 weeks may have nothing to do with logistics, security, or ticket sales. It may be convincing supporters that the World Cup still belongs to them. But football has a habit of changing the conversation, because no matter how intense the controversy becomes, football still possesses something more powerful than any hashtag moments. One extraordinary goal can dominate headlines for days. One underdog story can unite millions of people. One unforgettable atmosphere can erase months of negativity. We've seen it repeatedly throughout football history. Before tournaments begin, fans debate politics, economics, and governance. Once the matches start, football often takes center stage. The internet may spend months arguing about prices and policies, but one magical night can completely reshape public attention. FIFA knows this. Critics know this, and that's why both sides are waiting for kickoff. Because the opening weeks of World Cup 2026 won't just determine who advances through the tournament, and they may determine which narrative survives. Right now, 2 versions of World Cup 2026 exist simultaneously. FIFA's version is a story of growth, expansion, and historic success. Social media's version is a story of frustration, distrust, and growing discontent. Both contain elements of truth. Neither tells the entire story. Over the next 6 weeks, football itself will become the final judge, because once the first whistle blows, narratives collide with reality. The internet has spent months shaping expectations. FIFA has spent years selling a vision. Now comes the moment neither side can fully control: the football. And when this tournament is finally remembered years from now, people won't remember every argument, every rumor, or every viral post. They'll remember what happened on the pitch. The question is whether that will be enough to save the story. FIFA wants the world to tell.